This is how I got rid of my fear of judgment. For a very long time, I didn't trust myself. Anything I ever did in my entire life, I would always look for advice and ask other people. We all have those people in our lives that think that they know best for us. And they tell us what they think we should do, or they tell us what our jobs should be, or they tell us what we should do in general. I never really trusted my own judgment. I always thought that I was defective in some way. And a lot of it was because when I was in high school, I got bullied, I guess you could say. And it affected me so much that for a long time after that, I always made sure to placate myself. I always made sure to be a certain person, or I was made to feel like I wasn't good enough. And at the time in high school, I would say that I was a lot more emotional than I am now. And so you could say I was bullied because I was very emotional. So because of my situation in high school, and people would judge me all the time. They would talk shit about me behind my back constantly. And that really affected me, because it made me feel like I wasn't part of society. Made me feel like I wasn't good enough, or that I was defective in some way. And it followed me for a really, really long time. It also made me scared to start YouTube, because I was afraid of what people might think of me, that people might judge me, that people might laugh at me. And there's something that happened in my life that made me realize and kind of kicked me into gear to not give a shit. And that realization was that all the people that you worry about, all the people you call your friends, all the people that don't like you or anything like that, no one's gonna hold your hand on your deathbed. I know that sounds a little depressing, but it's true. And I came to this realization with my dad when my dad passed. I talk about it a lot on this channel. He died very traumatically. He was very young, my dad. And what made me realize this, and what made me realize not to give a shit about what people think of me, is because my dad, he was a mechanic. And he was like the neighborhood whore, but for cars. Everybody would come to him to fix their cars. And that's how he became known. He became very popular amongst our neighbors. He had a lot of friends, and he sacrificed himself a lot for other people. He wouldn't charge them like he should have. He would do favors. He would go out of his way to do favors. And when he passed, all of those people that he considered his best friends were not there. They all kind of just vanished. They all just vanished. And so, because of this, it put things into perspective for me. It put things into perspective for me about sacrifice and what it means to sacrifice and to be a good person. And yes, it's really important to be a good person. But how tragic is it that our minds are filled with what other people think of us, to the point of mixing around what we want to do in our own lives, when at the end of the day, they're not going to be holding your hand on your deathbed. At the end of the day, you die alone. And for me, I know this sounds depressing, but for me, it really kicked me in the ass, this thought, in a good way, in the sense of, why am I wasting my precious time worrying about what other people think of me when I don't want to be like anybody else? Why would I? Why would I waste this one life being anybody else but myself? Why would I waste precious time worrying about what people think of me when I could just be alive and live? Why? Why? Makes me want to cry thinking about it. Because I've wasted so much of my youth, my early 20s, worrying about what other people think of me. Worrying about people that won't even be part of my life for very long, what they think of me. And I'm mad at myself because how dare I let them? How dare I let these people govern my life? And I'm mad at myself, you know? Really, like, I look at myself in my early 20s, I'm like, Alex, you're such a fucking idiot. All of this stress and this worry. So, how I got rid of my fear of judgment, you know, it's still there. I mean, I still get scared. I still get scared of what people think of me. Definitely not at the intensity that it used to be, but, you know, as long as you have an ego, part of you still, is worried about what other people might think of you to some certain extent, unless you're, like, mentally fucking strong, which kudos to you if you are, but I used to be so afraid of making videos. Like, I've always wanted to ever since I was in high school, but I was so afraid. I was so afraid of my body. I was so afraid of, like, just even, like, laughing. Like, I was so afraid of showing my true self. And when I was faced with death of the person, one of the two people that truly loved me and accepted me wholly, no matter what I did, when my dad passed, I thought, there's one person who never judged me, and I only gave a shit about what other people judged me for, people that did not love me. So why the fuck would I waste any other second worrying about what those people think when not even my own father judged me? And this isn't to say that you need to go through a traumatic moment in your life to realize this. Maybe you do. Or maybe it's just age. Maybe I just turned 25 and I realized, fuck it, why do I care so much? And I think it's kind of an amalgamation of it all. I think it's the age, I think it's the things that have happened to me that push me to do things that I'm meant to do. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying to put yourself out there. It's terrifying to show your true self in a certain way. It's terrifying. But at the end of the day, no one's going to hold your hand on your deathbed. Nobody. Except the person that loves you and the people that love you without judgment. How dare you trust people more than yourself? How I got through my fear of being judged? Well, it was a mix of things that have happened in my life, a mix of age, and a mix of just trying to put myself out there. And this is the practical advice area of the video, because I've had this fear for a long time, but now it's time to put it into practice, in the sense of putting yourself into situations where you will get judged. And that's what I'm doing with my YouTube. That's what I'm doing with everything. Just letting myself be seen and letting myself be judged. So, what you do with your worries, your anxieties, and your things, the best way to get rid of those things is to simply just do them. Even if you're scared, even if you're worried, even if you might be wrong. The way to get over the fear of being judged is by being judged and letting yourself be judged. And by letting yourself be judged, you realize that no matter what people say about you, you'll be okay. You will be okay. Because you have yourself. And when you have yourself, yeah, are we social creatures that need people? Yeah. But if you have yourself, and you have people around you that love you for you, who the fuck cares what anyone else thinks? Do the things that you're scared of. Let yourself be judged. Have people fucking critique you left, right, and center. And you realize that it's not really about you. It's about them. Anyone that tells you what they think you should do, it's not about you. It's about them and their ego. And when you realize that people, the things that they say, the things that they think, it's simply just reflections of their own perspective. Life is short. So don't let anyone tell you who they think you are. Because only you can tell people and show people who you are. And who cares what anybody else thinks? Unless you're like a fucked up criminal. In that case, sorry, homie. Like, shit. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye. They're boobs. It's a boob ball.